And now, it's Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Gray.
Yeah, this is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, and we are broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios here in CL 650 Radio in Vancouver. The second half kickoff is brought to you by Global Scarves at globalscarves.com. Good evening. My name's Tyler Green, on Twitter at TylerGreenFC. Simon Fudge is alongside me. He's at SimonFudge74 on Twitter. And, of course, Soccer Talk 650. Still lots to get into in the second half of the program, including a chat with David Sandals in just a couple of moments. We also have Paul Dolan from Sportsnet joining us to wrap up the Whitecaps season, as well talk some Canadian men's and women's national team stuff. And Toronto FC, Paul covered TFC quite a bit this season. But right now, it is time for the Italian scoreboard presented by Via Tevere Pizzeria Napolitana, 1190 Victoria Drive, serving up true wood-fired Neapolitan pizza in East Vancouver. Absolutely fantastic. That's Via Tevere, 1190 Victoria Drive. Simon?
3 games today in the Serie A. Napoli beat Roma by 2-0. It was Empoli 0, Juventus 2, and Parma beat Internazionale by 2-0. Of the 5 games tomorrow in Italy, Sampdoria hosts Fiorentina and AC Milan hosts Palermo, and then on Monday, Cesena versus Verona and Lazio versus Cagliari.
Time now to chat with expert physios David Sandals in the Injury Report. It is brought to you by Expert Physio in Burnaby, online at expertphysio.ca, and joining us on the program as he does every week is Expert Physio's David Sandals. David, we don't get to watch the Whitecaps in action tomorrow. They are likely sitting on their couch watching the rest of the Major League Soccer playoffs. So what do these players do? Is it simply that, just sit on the couch and relax for a couple weeks, or do you have to do some exercise and sort of some cool down and rehab? Or, what's the process once the season ends for a lot of these guys?
Well, it's definitely, I think all athletes need a little bit of time to put the feet up and eat ice cream. I think, they get stale if they're going at it, hammer and tongs, day in, day out, week in, week out. And it's a fairly long season. So it is definitely rest, but also recovery time. I think they'll probably have some kind of assessment, all those tweaks and niggles that the players get and they've been playing with. Managing through and working on their programs during the year with the team, but I'm sure they'll all be given some kind of rest and recovery plan made on the basis of any problems that they have. Then after that, it's about planning an off-season to improve skills, fitness, and preparation for being stronger, faster, and better than they were this season. Let's hope so.
Yeah, you're listening to David Sandals joining us here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. My name's Tyler Green, and David Sandals, of course, with Expert Physio, expertphysio.ca. And David, bad injury for Diana Matheson of the Canadian women's national team. She hurt her knee in the match against Japan in Edmonton on Saturday. Didn't even dress for the match on Tuesday here in Vancouver at BC Place. It looks like an ACL. What are you hearing? What's the verdict? And can she be ready? Because the depth of the squad for the Canadian women's national team is not great right now, and a big part of that team can she be ready for the World Cup next year?
Yeah, I suppose technically she could, and certainly days gone by, players used to get back in 6-7 months, but to some extent those days seem to have gone. Classically, I think about 6 years ago when Michael Owen injured his knee and did his ACL. I think he was playing in a World Cup or a Euros, and he flew over to see the top expert in the U.S. on this, and the guy sent him home for a month to get rid of all the swelling. I don't want to touch it until the knees nicely settle down and a lot easier to operate on and easier to get a really good job. Gone are the days when guy shows up in emergency and they'll do his ACL that night. They get better results if the knees settle down. So that's a little bit of time right away. Mm-hmm. Looking at our own Mehdi Belouchi, he of course he's gone through this twice in the last couple of years, and his first one he was playing again about 8 months after his injury, and the second time it took him 10 months. So the chances of Diana being back in 7 months really, might just be enough time to get back to some training and onto the field, but match fitness too, I don't know, and maybe give a 50-50 at best. The ACL, of course, is the bane of female players. Mm-hmm. The rate of ACL injury in women players compared to men is something like some of the studies show 3 to 5 times the rate.
Wow.
Because there's a difference in strength, there's a difference in the actual anatomy of the knee and the position the knee gets into, the anatomy of the pelvis, which makes it more likely for the knee to get twisted to the inside, and that's the thing that tears the ACL. So a real tough blow to the Canadian team. She's a big part of that, great player, and I think they're more likely to be missing her than getting her back in time for that.
Well, David, appreciate you taking some time out here on a Saturday night yet again, and we'll talk again next week about what to do after the Whitecaps players have eaten a week's worth of ice cream and how they can get back into shape.
Okay, enjoy your week.
Thanks again, David. That was David Sandals, physiotherapist at Expert Physio. If you care about your health, why not work with the experts? Convenient clinics in Burnaby Heights and at 8 Rinks. Hey, if you do in your knee, David Sandals, obviously one of the best in the business here to get you back to full health. For information on the services they provide, visit expertphysio.ca. That's expertphysio.ca. They want to get you back to full health. Highly recommend them. David's taken a look at a couple of my little nagging injuries, and I've been, luckily, where's some wood, injury-free so far this season. Visit them again today at expertphysio.ca. Right now, Kia Vancouver offering free oil changes, car washes, and airport parking and shuttle service only at BC's #1 Kia dealership. That's Kia Vancouver. They're at 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Still a very, very busy show to get to. We're going to keep Paul Dolan for the next 2 segments because we have a lot to get into. We're going to talk Toronto FC. Paul has done, on Sportsnet, a lot of Toronto FC games. He has watched them very, very closely. What do they need to do in the offseason? Plus, the Canadian men's national team, he's back a part of that. Is Russell Teibert going to be back a part of that squad? They have a game coming up relatively shortly against Panama. Could Russell Teibert be in contention to make that squad? And Paul, of course, did the play-by-play along with Jerry Dobson for the Canadian women's national team games against Japan over the last week. What is his assessment of the Canadian women of these last 2 games and looking ahead to the World Cup in a year's time? But up next, we will talk to Paul Dolan about everything Whitecaps, what he thinks of the Whitecaps season so far, what the biggest need is in the offseason, and was it a handball or not a handball? Sportsnet's Paul Dolan will give us his answer when we return.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
Talk about beautiful goalkeeping. During Winterfest, Kia Vancouver is stopping all payments on new 2015 Kia models till next year and stopping winter with a holiday bonus of up to $1,000 towards a 2015 winter-ready model with loads of heated features and rugged winter tires. Hurry in for all the Winterfest saves at Kia Vancouver, where you get free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they'd choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
Nearly 70 years ago, Charlie Wolford first started fixing loggers' boots. He did such a good job, loggers said if he'd make boots from scratch, they'd buy them and tell their buddies. Charlie named his brand Dayton, and ever since, Dayton Boots has put the same craftsmanship and love in every pair built right here in Vancouver. Times change, but the quality in every handcrafted pair of Dayton boots never has. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton, where a legend that lasts.
Hi, I'm Jack McIver. All dishwashers are not created equal. And then 7 years ago, I found Ariston with a 2-year full guarantee, made in Italy and priced from only $6.95 with an all stainless steel interior. And since then, nearly 400 have been sold by McIver's. Ariston dishwashers are quiet, efficient, lowest water and power usage, super clean dishes and pots and pans. Why settle for less? Ariston from McIver's. McIver's, 610 Southeast Marine Drive. Call 879-5222 or find us on the net at mcivers.biz.
This is Phyllis, and I'm staying at the Hotel Grand Pacific in Victoria, where they let me subtract my age from their room rate, and that's all I pay. The hotel is downtown on the Inner Harbor, close enough to hang at my favorite sushi bar. If you're just a baby, say 43 or 90, you can also subtract your age from the room rate for a great price. Look for the seniors moment at hotelgrandpacific.com. Not just a grand hotel, a great hotel.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
And right now, Kia Vancouver offering free oil changes, car washes, and airport parking and shuttle service. It's only at Western Canada's #1 Kia dealership. Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Paul Dolan joining us in just a second, but first, Simon has the scores from Germany.
Last night saw Schalke beat Augsburg by a goal to nil. Of the 5 games today in the Bundesliga, Hamburg won, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Hanover won, Eintracht Frankfurt 0. Mainz losing at home to Werder Bremen 2-1, and Stuttgart lost at home to Wolfsburg 4-0. And the big one today was Bayern Munich 2, Borussia Dortmund 1. 3 games tomorrow in Germany, Borussia Mönchengladbach against Hoffenheim, Cologne versus Freiburg, and Paderborn versus Hertha Berlin.
Well, the Whitecaps bowed out of the Major League Soccer playoffs on Wednesday on a somewhat dubious penalty call. Well, the Caps now look to the offseason, and we wrap up the season with Sportsnet's Paul Dolan, who has seen this team from start to finish. He's also covered TFC, and we'll get into that shortly. Paul, also a Umbro rep. Big thanks to Paul for joining us on the program again to wrap up the Whitecap season. Paul, thanks for coming on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk.
Oh, happy to be on again, guys.
Now, let's get right into it, Paul. Handball or no handball? It's the question everyone wants to know.
Well, my camp says no chance. And the reason I say that is, the two things that determine whether it's a handball are movement towards the ball and deliberate contact. And I know the deliberate one's a tough one because I don't think there's any defender who actually purposely sticks his hand out. Although the one in the game today against Everton where the guy goes down to make the save, some of it does need to be up to the referee's discretion. And as much as I say that you have to take the context out of it, the fact that there's only 6 minutes left in the game, that it's a playoff game, there is common sense that goes along. And you can't just say as a referee, well, I'm going to pick and choose my time. Mm-hmm. But in the back of your mind, you got to realize the second you blow that whistle and point to the spot, you've decided one team's playoff fate, and the other teams for that matter too, and the Whitecaps are out. I think it was extremely harsh. I think Kendall Waston did everything he could to move his arm away from the ball, and probably that action cost him in the end. But I don't see how, in my opinion anyway, that you could say that he was moving towards the ball to block it from progressing onto the foot of a Dallas player. There was no other Dallas players even close to it. In fact, I rewound it and PVR'd it and checked it out, numerous different times. And if you look in the background after the penalty's been awarded, Javon Watson turns to, I think it's Blas Perez, and you can see him mouthing, that was never a PK. So I don't think there was a lot of people that did think. I'd be curious to know what you guys thought, but that's my opinion.
Now, we'll get into our thoughts in a second, but does Mark Geiger get or deserve another MLS playoff game?
As much as I didn't like the call, I'm not a hater of Mark Geiger, and I'm actually of the opinion that the MLS referees are on about par with MLS caliber play. And I know that a lot of people are going to think, well, geez, that's the biggest stickling point for MLS right now is the referees. And I'm trying to be perfectly neutral. I did a lot of Toronto FC games this year, so I saw a lot of games in the East, obviously a lot of Whitecap games as well. And so, we saw Dave Gantar, the Canadian ref, pull a goal back that Gilberto scored in an important game against Chicago that was clearly the wrong decision. And we've seen some other outrageous ones here in Vancouver as well. But overall, I can't say that they're the reason that MLS struggles to gain credibility with a lot of people, because I think, again, using that example from this morning, there's an English Premier League ref who got that call blatantly wrong when the ball was handled by the Everton player. It happens everywhere. But when it sends your team out, you go crazy, and rightly so. The fans are passionate about it, and they want to get the right decision. But I don't think Mark Geiger's a poor referee. I don't think he had a good night, but he was fantastic at the World Cup, and I know a lot of people have said, why don't we see that when he's in Major League Soccer? I noticed that Pro, the officiating body, didn't give him any games over the course of the next little while, the next 8 games, I think it was, including the 2 today. So perhaps as much as they were backing him, they don't truly believe that he deserved to get a game after that decision and the rest of the kind of choppy game that he had. But I think we will see him again.
Well, let's remember that it was Howard Webb back in 2010 that he could have sent off a player with a red card with the karate kick to the chest and never happened. So it happens in a World Cup final as well that referees make make mistakes and etc. But for me, and I think Simon's in agreement that we both don't think that was a penalty and really just a tough call for the Whitecaps to make. But having said that, I've always been of the opinion that as much as we can now blame the referee that the Whitecaps lost that game, did the Whitecaps do enough to put themselves in position to win that game? And I know that there's that argument that, well, if it was going into extra time, they looked like the better team, etc. But I'm always of the opinion that you can take the referee completely out of the game and go out and win it in those first 90 minutes.
No, you make a very good point. The fact that this has kind of given them an escape clause that everyone's pointing the finger at the official rather than the team, not to make excuses, but I actually think that the Whitecaps probably would have gone on to win that game after they equalized. They weren't very good in the first half. The old adage that your best player needs to be your best player didn't hold true with Pedro Morales. I think we can all see something's up there, whether it's fatigue or a niggling injury or something with the back. It's something I've heard as well, but he just wasn't on, and for whatever reason, he hasn't been on in most of the games away from BC Place this year. But you've got to credit the Whitecaps. They came out flying in the second 45. They did as much as they could to get themselves back in the game, got the goal with some fortune from a deflection. And I actually think that if that game had gone to extra time, that the Whitecaps would have been the favored team. Now, when it goes through 30 minutes and you're unlikely to have seen another goal scorer, then it's a complete lottery, right? Mm-hmm. When you come to the penalty kicks, I don't know who would win that. But you're right, Tyler, that they could say that it's easier now to point the finger at someone else rather than ourselves when they didn't really come out. They didn't look that good in the first 45 for whatever reason.
You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk here on CL 650. My name's Tyler Green, along with Simon Fudge. We're speaking with Sportsnet's Paul Dolan here on the program about the Vancouver Whitecaps and the season. And One last thing from the game. We've talked to referees and how they perform, but do you think that Carl Robinson should have gone with Russell Teibert as opposed to Gershon Kofi in that? Was that maybe the one mistake that Carl Robinson made to start that game?
Yeah, that's my opinion, and I thought it before the game too, because it's always easy in hindsight whether Gershon Kofi had a good game or not. And more times than not, Gershon Kofi would have a good game, and I don't think he was poor. I just don't think that he contributed as much possibly that Russell Teibert would have. And the biggest question for me is, why would you upset that chemistry of a team that hadn't lost in 5 games going into the playoffs? So almost more so than the individual, it's the sum of the parts type scenario for me, that you already are forced to make a change at right back, bringing Ethan Sampson on. I actually thought they would have gone with Sam Adekubi, but, to question Carl on that one, I think he got that one right, actually. Ethan Sampson had a good game. But to have made a second change when it wasn't forced either, after Russell Teibert had played very well in the tail end of the season, for me, what Russell Teibert would give you, if he's not giving you that same physical attribute that Gershon Kofi is, and that was the thing that Carl Robinson said that he wanted in that position, you're still getting that engine, which means that you're getting a guy who's tracking the runners, forcing players to turn back or cutting off passing lanes. You know he's going to give you that dogged, determined effort. And so for me, I don't think that they got that from Kofi above and beyond what they would have from Russell, and you've lost a bit of that cohesion of that team that had done so well in the last few games. So that was a surprise for me, and I think in the end, he would have been better off to have played Russell Teibert.
Paul, the season now over for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Fill in the blank. In 2014, the Vancouver Whitecaps had a blank.
Good season. It wasn't outstanding. It was a good start. Everyone knows about, after the World Cup break, the tail-off that happened for whatever reason. Again, hard to pinpoint, but so many Major League Soccer teams have these up and down patches throughout the year. I saw it again with Toronto clearly after the World Cup break as well. And then some others go on hot spells. And you have to say that when it came time to either make the playoffs or not, they didn't back in as they did a couple of years ago. And so that's where an average season, I think, turns into a good one. They came in strong the last 5 games, winning 4 of them, 4 clean sheets in a row to end the season. That's where it really got good with Kendall Waston's addition, which I think was an excellent pickup. The fact that they were starting to get success from set pieces, but they tightened in the back with he and Andy O'Brien. I thought the goalkeeper, David Osted, was very, very good down the stretch as well. And even guys like Eric Hurtado, who, again, went hot and cold, I think near the end of the year, did a good job of changing his role to more of a hold-up player to bring the midfield players in. They weren't scoring a ton of goals. They weren't maybe creating as many chances as they were at the beginning of the year, but they were putting in good professional appearances and performances to get themselves into the playoffs. And any time you make the playoffs in a very difficult Western Conference, I think you have to give them a check mark and say it was a good year.
You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk here on CIL 650. My name's Tyler Green, along with Simon Fudge. We're speaking with Sportsnet's Paul Dolan. Kia Vancouver right now, free oil changes, car washes, and airport parking and shuttle service only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, Kia Vancouver. That's KiaVancouver.com, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon. Paul, a couple quick ones here for you. Who was the most pleasant surprise for you with this Whitecaps season? It could be, it could be Carl Robinson, or it could even be one of the players.
Yeah, that's a good one, Carl Robinson. I think that has been a pleasant surprise. I think a lot of us thought that he would do a good job. I think he's done a bit better job than perhaps a lot of us thought he would in his first year, but that's been a pleasant surprise. Matthias Lava was kind of, I think, almost above and beyond. We all kind of knew what type of player we'd see, but he had a very consistent season. I think David Osted, too. I'm kind of just talking about the best players on the team, aren't I? But you have to say Pedro Morales, too. Who'd have thought that he'd have that big of an influence in the games? And so, to me, again, that's kind of above and beyond. But, Yeah, when I look through the team there, I don't really think of anyone as having an extremely poor season. I think most of the guys were pretty steady, and a couple of the guys that I just mentioned there, stood out as having good seasons. But I don't know if they were necessarily a surprise. I think Jordan Harvey, again, was consistent, and I think more than anything else, that's what you want. I don't think you want guys that shine one day but are poor the next. I think you want a group of players that you know what you're going to get from them 90 minutes day in, day out.
Paul, you're a coach. Carl Robinson now has an off season to tinker again with this team and make it more in the image that he wants. What's going to be his biggest challenge going from year one to year two?
Well, he needs to find a forward. That's a challenge for him in terms of, because those are very hard to come by, especially in a salary cap world. So in terms of off the field, I think that'll be his biggest challenge, is somehow finding someone who fits in. He did a good job of making sure that the players he did bring in fit into the team chemistry as well, because as we've seen in the past, it's not just about signing a check and bringing in a player that you think will fill a hole. They've got to fit into the team chemistry and the team systems and everything else, culture, and it's sometimes difficult, especially for foreign players. But I think that'll be his biggest challenge in terms of filling a hole. And then I guess, just continuing to build on what he's done well in year one, making sure that he can keep all the players focused in the right direction. I don't think that'll be a big challenge for him, though, because I think the players really have a lot of faith in him. They want to play for him, and I think he'll be good at massaging what he needs to do in terms of building that team and getting the most from the players he has on it right now.
Well, you mentioned it, Paul, the fact that the Whitecaps do need that pure goal scorer. Obviously, that's obviously the biggest need, but what's something else that you think that this team needs that may be missing? And maybe it's just, another role player or someone like a Mauro Rosales who can come in and play a bunch of different roles.
At the start of the season, I thought this was the most well-rounded team in the league, and maybe I was getting a little ahead of myself, especially after the good start. But I thought that the youth up front and the excitement with the chance creators he had in behind would be enough. And I guess I, like maybe some other people, was a little bit naive in terms of losing your top goal scorer in Camilo. And Kenny Miller, too. That was a big loss, because you can say what you want about Kenny Miller. The guy is a natural finisher, and that's exactly what the Whitecaps missed this year. Sure, he's a little older now, but I think he was even good in training with the young kids, and he could have been someone that was a mentor to some of those young forwards who just don't have that finishing ability. But, that being the biggest place certainly that they need to address. But I think just a few other complementary players, perhaps a true out-and-out winger, although Rosales, I think, has kind of filled that role too with his good crossing ability. We didn't see that at the beginning of the year when guys like Kekuta Mane were trialing there, and we saw Tybert even out wide, and Fernandez, who I think prefers to get a bit more central than wide. But perhaps kind of a true winger might be someone that they look at. But I think the parts are in place now. If you're looking at the flanks with Beitashour and Harvey, they were solid, and their replacement players in Samson, who had a very good game, I thought, and Adekubi, all of a sudden you could say, geez, it looks like you have depth in defense too. And we knew that the center back position was the one that needed to be addressed, and Kendall Waston was the perfect fit for that. So I think they should keep Andy O'Brien, and then you'll have cover there with Christian Dean as well. And then I think they're pretty solid through the midfield.
Quick time out here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, but when we return, should the Whitecaps keep David Ousted? And Canadian women's national team talk with Paul Dolan. That's coming up next.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
Talk about beautiful goalkeeping. During Winterfest, Kia Vancouver is stopping all payments on new 2015 Kia models till next year and stopping winter with a holiday bonus of up to $1,000 towards a 2015 winter-ready model with loads of heated features and rugged winter tires. Hurry in for all the Winterfest saves at Kia Vancouver, where you get free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. Hot towel, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barber shop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, Cambiet 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. And relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
One word makes all the difference. Trust. You can't earn it overnight. You can't put a price tag on it. Trust must be earned. Over the last 30 years, BC Furnace has built their reputation on trust. Tens of thousands of customers now recommend BC Furnace by name for installation, maintenance, and repairs, in large part to one thing: trust. BC Furnace, keeping Lower Mainland homes warm and comfortable for over 30 years.
BCFurnace.com, BC's #1 choice.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Right now, Kia Vancouver offering free oil changes, car washes, airport parking, and shuttle service only at BC's #1 Kia dealership. Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Simon with the scores from Spain.
Last night saw Deportivo La Coruña lose 2-1 at home to Getafe. There were 4 games tonight. Granada 0, Real Madrid 4, James Rodriguez with 2 goals there. It was Atletico Madrid 4, Cordoba 2. Barcelona losing 1-0 at home at the Camp Nou to Celta Vigo, and Real Sociedad lost 1-0 at home to Malaga, which of course is Pedro Morales' old club. Of the 4 games tomorrow in Spain, Athletic Bilbao hosts Sevilla and Villarreal hosts Valencia. And on Monday, Rayo Vallecano host Eibar.
You want to walk away with one of these? A Barber & Co. gift certificate. All you have to do is answer our Barber & Co. Barber poll. Fill in the blank. Vancouver's first season under new head coach Carl Robinson was a blank. Tweet us at SoccerTalk650, at Tyler Green FC, at SimonFud74, and you might be one of the lucky winners to walk away with a gift certificate to Barber & Co. Maybe get that clean-shaven face with a hot shave to start Movember off properly. Talking a lot of Whitecaps with Paul Dolan here. We will get into the Canadian men's national team, the women's national team, Toronto FC. But one of the biggest questions facing Vancouver this year is the expansion draft coming up and who to protect. Orlando just traded for Tally Hall, longtime Houston Dynamo goalkeeper. Josh Saunders just won the NASL Fall Championship title, regular season title with San Antonio, but he's New York City property. David Osted makes a little bit of money, had a great season. Do you protect him in the expansion draft? And Paul Dolan joining us once again here on the program. Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. Sportsnet analyst Paul Dolan. And Paul, you know, David Osted, like I said, different options, but had a great year. The Whitecaps finally find themselves a #1 goalkeeper. Do you risk even losing him? What would you do with David Osted?
I think you protect him for sure. Like I said, I thought he was outstanding, especially near the end of the year. Very steady, played every minute, as you know. And, we talk about DPs who come into the team and take a little while to settle. It's difficult as a goalkeeper, too, to come into a season midway through like he did last year and settle completely. But he was good in every aspect, I thought. I thought he was very good in collecting crosses in the air, excellent in collecting crosses this year, very good distribution. Very vocal, as everyone knows, from the back, but I think in an encouraging enough way that it kind of looks bad sometimes when he's berating his teammates for mistakes and whatnot, but he's passionate, he's into it, he wants to do well. I think you want that more than kind of a placid goalkeeper who isn't as bothered. But no, I don't think that you leave him exposed. If I was New York City, I would take him in a heartbeat ahead of Josh Saunders. So in my protected list, yes, he's on a little bit of a higher ticket, still only around $200,000 if I'm not mistaken, and it's the most important position on the field, as you know, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have an excellent goalkeeper. So.
It was the downfall of Team Dolan at the media game, really.
Yeah, well, we should be clear about
I think we went with 3 or 4 different guys.
Yeah, it didn't help when we left you all alone either. But
it didn't help when we also had one goalie and no defenders. But.
Yeah. Let's keep posted. That would be my strong recommendation. Let's put it that way.
Tyler Green along with Simon Fudge here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650. We're talking to Paul Dolan from Sportsnet. Paul, you, like you said earlier on the program, that you got to cover Toronto FC quite a bit this year, doing a lot of the games for Sportsnet with Toronto FC. It's a shambles. We'll start there. What do they need to do? I know there's probably a 20-minute answer here to answer what TFC needs, but if there's, is it just simply keeping some of these guys in place and giving them a little bit of time to grow, or, is it another one of those blow it up and start once again?
Well, if I looked at the team, and I honestly thought that despite the fact they'd changed the roster every single year for 8 years, it was the right thing to do. I'd say switch them up. But I honestly do believe that there's enough strong parts there that if you do another major overhaul, it's just going to cost you another year. Just as I said about Osted, and I've said about other DP players or other players in general, it takes time to settle. And you need to have the same manager year in, year out to stick to the tactical plan, to know what training is going to be like, to know what they're expected to do in games. And with so much change and uncertainty, it affects players. There's no question about it. You never know if you're going to be in the starting lineup. You don't know if your players are injured or going to be traded, or if the coach is going to be gone, or what have you. There's so many different situations where it can upset the apple cart that consistency is such an important thing when you're building a team. And they haven't had that. And yes, they've brought in some good players, and I think Michael Bradley will be a good long-term player there, and he's on a long-term contract. I think Jermaine Defoe's toast, and I think that's a good thing if he doesn't want to be there. And Gilberto came good for me. I thought he was excellent, as much as he didn't score in the first 10 games. And then, and he only finished the season, I think it was 7 goals. He's an excellent player. He never stops running. He's good from the front. And I think he's a good player to build on. Do you want him to be a DP? Well, again, you can't just go flipping DPs. You don't know what you're going to get the next day. So I would stick with him. And then they've got the one other DP slot if Jermaine Defoe goes that I think they would definitely use. But they've got some good young players, very good in the back, and Nick Hagland, and players like Justin Morrow, who is outstanding, and Mark Bloom. And then if Stephen Caldwell can stay healthy, I think that they need to pick up another center back that they've got some experience in, and then 1 or 2 other pieces, but I don't think you need to blow up that whole thing like they've done every single year.
Right now, Kia Vancouver, free car washes, oil changes, and airport parking and shuttle service. 396 Southwest Marine Drive. It's KiaVancouver.com, BC's #1 Kia dealership, and you're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. Paul Dolan joining us here from Sportsnet. My name's Tyler Green. Alongside me, Simon Fudge, as we switch gears and talk a little Canadian men's and women's national teams.
Paul, just wondering about Russell Tiber and the fact that he hasn't been involved in Benito Flores' squad for about a year. And there's a game coming up, obviously, on the November 18th, away to Panama. Do you think that maybe that will be a game in which he should be given a chance to have a look again by Benito Floro?
That's a really tough one for me because I was absent from the program for a year from last September until this September when I came back for the Jamaica game. And so there's something there that I think needs to be addressed that I think is in the works of being sorted out. I don't know all the details and whatnot. I know that they certainly wanted Russell to get the opportunity to play with the Whitecaps during the season. So you'd think that in the near future you would see Russell Teibert back in the mix. And I know that what Benito's trying to do, too, is look at a lot of different players. If you saw the Columbia game, the last one that we played in New York there was 6 or 7 or 8 Olympic team players as well that a few of them were able to get into the game late, but really wants to assess all the talent available ahead of what could be an early World Cup qualifying session next year. So I'm sure Russell Teibert will get an opportunity in the lead up to that.
And the thing is that the longer he doesn't get picked, does it make it more difficult? Because if you look at the last 2 games, the thing that I certainly saw from the team, the Jamaica game and the Colombia game, is that there seems to be a real core of this team really coming together and shaping together with a particular set of players. Do you think it could become increasingly more difficult for him to be able to get included into that equation?
No, I wouldn't say so. Will Johnson hasn't been included in the last little while, too. Also, in the playoff push with Portland, and, of course, the bad injury he just suffered. But obviously that's a player, too, that you'd love to have back in there. And there's other players as well that still haven't even made an appearance for Canada that I know Benito has his eye on. So I think at this point he's got his tactics, and his tactics are really being simplified each time we get together and retrenched as well in every single session. And it's 2-a-day sessions, more for tactics than it is for anything else. He's only got them out there for an hour each session, and lots of video too, but over and over and over again, it's retrenched what we need to do from a defensive perspective and a shape perspective and a tactical perspective. And Russell knows that, and Will knows that, and a lot of the other players who have had an opportunity to at least attend one of the camps know it as well. And so it's I don't want to say it's interchangeable parts that you can bring in, but that's the idea, is that you've got a national team setup where every player would know his responsibility, whoever came in.
I want to just shift gears with the women's national team because obviously you covered their 2 friendlies against Japan here on last weekend and then on Tuesday night. It was interesting that John Herdman said after the game on Tuesday when asked if he feels he has within the squad the kind of quality that Japan possesses, particularly after, say, the Nagasato goal that opened the scoring on Tuesday night in Vancouver. And he sort of said that in the cases of 1 or 2 players like Melissa Tancredi, if you sort of wait 7 or 8 months' time until World Cup time, that they'll be at the level to be able to compete with those top teams. Having seen Canada in the last 2 games in particular, do you feel they're going to be able to get to the level to take on the likes of a Japan who's number 3 in the world, the States, Germany, and France or Sweden? They're all ranked in the top 5.
Well, I think John Herdman's aware that they don't have an 11 team load of Christine Sinclairs. Many of the teams like Japan seem to, we talked about interchangeable parts, seem to have depth in every position that was almost as good as the starting 11. But also the thing that you saw, especially in the second game, is when their star players came on, and there's more than just Ayama in the midfield, they really made a difference, too, for Japan, whereas Canada's depth isn't quite there yet. But what John Herdman's trying to do is tactically get that team to all play together as they did at the Olympics when they came together with such good team spirit and chemistry, that, again, the sum of the parts is greater than the individual talent. So I don't think he's trying to tell anyone that they have maybe the technical ability player for player that a Japan does, but with that 8-month time now, and again, those Japan games, you only had a lot of the players in for a week, but now there's a centralized development program from here until the World Cup that will give Canada every single chance, every single resource is being used. No stone is unturned. His staff is an incredible staff. Technically, tactically, physically, mentally, they'll give those girls every chance to come together. And I think he thinks that with that time that they want to peak at the World Cup, not now, 8 months before it.
You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk with Tyler Green. My name is Simon Fudge, and I'm speaking with Paul Dolan from Sportsnet. Paul, Jessie Fleming really stood out probably as the best player for Canada on Tuesday night, and I think is only 16 years of age. And you look at someone like Kadisha Buchanan, who also started in the game. When you come time to when John Herdman has to pick his squad for that World Cup, will it include at least 2 or 3 of these teenagers? And do you think even then they'll be in the starting 11 of World Cup games?
Well, for me, I think those 2 are guaranteed on the squad, and I don't think the coach would ever want to hear anyone say that because everyone's got to fight right till the end. But they have too much ability, I think, to not be included in the squad. And I think there's a good chance both of them could start now, depending especially how Diana Matheson recovers from her ACL injury. Despite just being so young, 16 for Jessie Fleming, she plays with an older head on her shoulder. She's got such a good touch. She avoids the pressure. She's a very smart player. And I think she's got a lot of good attacking ability, something that Canada desperately needs. So it's possible at the age of 17 next year that you could see her as a player in the World Cup. And Kadisha Buchanan, even though, again, she's younger than any of the other defenders in the Canadian regular back line, I think she's almost been penciled in as the definite center back, and now they need to see who will partner with her. And again, I'm just, kind of saying that from what I'm seeing. But I think that what he's got, John, is he's trying to balance some of the veteran players. And I remember Carmelita Moscato saying it, we've got a bunch of teenagers and a bunch of over 30s. And so they're kind of missing in between there. They want to blend that experience and that youth. But, you've still got star players like Christine Sinclair and Erin McLeod, who are in their 30s, and Sophie Schmidt, who's all of a sudden, one of the veteran players now, despite her young age still. And then those are the players up the spine that you kind of build around. And I think Kadisha Buchanan and Jessie Fleming fit into that spine as well.
Going to put you a bit on the spot because it's a few months out, but knowing a lot of the top countries in here, I mean, what country right now you look at as being one of the favorites to win this Women's World Cup next summer?
Well, we've had a chance to look firsthand at the U.S. against Canada, Germany against Canada, and then Japan obviously a couple of times. And actually, just in a few weeks' time, we're going to get to see Sweden as well play Canada back-to-back. So those are the Tier 1 tests that John Herdman wanted his team to have a barometer against to see where they stood up. And yes, there's still a bit of a gap, there's no question, but I think in each of the games they've proven that they can play with those teams. They just need to find a way to do it for a full 90 minutes, take advantage of the chances they have and minimize the mistakes they've made where their opponents have capitalized on those mistakes. And that's, you could say that about every team around the world, couldn't you? That there are fine margins at every level, but in terms of who I'd pick, I mean, I thought Germany was extremely good. Erin McLeod made 7 saves in 45 minutes alone in the game here at BC Place, and many of them one-on-one situations that if she hadn't saved them, I think it would have been a 3 or 4-1 victory for Germany. So to me, they looked the strongest team, but Japan was excellent as well, weren't they, in the 2 games? Very technically good. And you can never count out the U.S. So I've covered every base there, haven't I, Simon?
Well, I just wonder what you might think of France, because I think as well, especially from their under-20 side, that they may emerge as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. And we saw them, I did anyway, kind of last at the Olympics. So it's been a couple of years since I've kind of really seen them close up and seen what they can offer. But they are a team that's on the up and up. And so you throw in another one that's a good team. And there's a lot more depth in the quality of the top teams now in women's soccer than there ever has been. And Canada, I think, competes very well against the Tier 2 teams. They want to get up to that next level in 8 months' time. So that's the big question. Can they do that? I think they've got, as I say, the resources and the ability to do it. And you got the right man at the helm there. But who gets to the World Cup final? Well, John Herdman said Canada. So who are they playing is what you're asking me? You like France then, do you, Simon?
I think they're up there, but I like Germany as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go Germany as well.
Paul, appreciate you taking some time out here on a Saturday night to join us for 2 segments here. Always appreciated, and we'll keep pumping that Umbro. I know that a lot of guys are putting on the Umbro boots. There's some really nice stuff coming out. I saw some new boots some of the guys were wearing here over the last couple of weeks, so we'll have to get them. Mine are, obviously, I'm a defender, so they're not putting in the goals for me, but they're trying to stop the goals from going in. So
Well, we'll get you some of the new UX1 Blackout boots. Those are beautiful new shoes that are coming out. And no, I appreciate everything that you've done with the Fantasy League this year, and we're happy to be a part of it. We had the contest winner come to the Japan game the other night, pick up his prizes, and we'll look to do it again next season.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Paul, and all the best, and we'll talk very soon.
All right, fellas. Have a good night.
Thanks again, Paul. That was Paul Dolan, Sportsnet Umbro rep as well. And, we had a great fantasy contest winner who enjoyed the Canada-Japan game on Paul Dolan, plus got a Canada warm-up jacket as well as a Canadian national team jersey. And we hope to do it again next year with the Fantasy League, or perhaps some other fun stuff that we can do with Umbro. So we thank Paul for that, as well as coming on the program tonight on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. Quick timeout. When we return, we'll wrap things up with the final cut, and of course the segment everybody wants to know about and hear about. It is Hot Fudge.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
Talk about beautiful goalkeeping. During Winterfest, Kia Vancouver is stopping all payments on new 2015 Kia models till next year, and stopping winter with a holiday bonus of up to $1,000 towards a 2015 winter-ready model with loads of heated features and rugged winter tires. Hurry in for all the Winterfest saves at Kia Vancouver, where you get free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they'd choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
The Vancouver Street Soccer League isn't out to change the world. Just give the men and women in our homeless communities a chance to play soccer. Regardless of skill, everyone's included in practices and matches with teams from UBC, the Vancouver Police Department, the Vancouver Mayor's Office, and more. The focus is fun, but it builds skill and confidence, and that can change someone's world. Find out more at VancouverStreetSoccer.com.
Vancouver Street Soccer League. Get into it and get behind it. And let's change the world.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of your pills. Now, more than ever, we need you to help stop the abuse. Last year, thousands of Canadian parents helped us return 44 tons of drugs. It's a good start, but we all need to do more. Return all unused prescription drugs to your pharmacy. Do it now. Save our kids. Visit CanadaDrugFree.org to find out how. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free Canada.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
And it is time now for the final cut, brought to you by Barber & Co. on Twitter at Barber & Co. 5 full-service barbershops for your big haircut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim. Get the ultimate barbershop experience. Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie and 18th, and the new spot on the corner of Main and 12th. I was there earlier, packed in there, as guys were getting clean shaven for Movember. It's barberandco.ca. And for the final cut today, we've got a prize to give away. And we're going to give it away to, let's go with number 7. Caller number 7 to 280-0650. That's 604-280-0650. You win yourself the Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk Warm Me Up for Winter prize. A Kia Vancouver /Whitecap scarf and a Soccer Talk scarf. Or, sorry, toque. The Kia Vancouver Whitecaps toque and the Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk scarf. Caller number 7, 604-280-0650. Right now, Kia Vancouver is offering free oil changes, car washes, airport parking, and shuttle service. It is only at BC's #1 Kia dealership. Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. It is time, everyone's favorite time of the program. It is time for Hot Fudge.
Oh, baby. Hot Fudge with Simon Fudge.
Well, it's a weekend where I want to celebrate the achievement of friends, and it's a little soccer related, but congratulations to my old teammate Bryce Chapman, the University of Saskatchewan Huskies, their first ever Canada West men's soccer title. They're off to the CIS Nationals, and also to my friend Mark Pennington, who's the assistant coach of Trinity Western Women's Spartans women's team. They won the Canada West women's title tonight, beating Fraser Valley down in Langley.
Very good. Thank you, Simon. We will talk again next Saturday at 10 o'clock. For the crew here at Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, my co-host Simon Fudge, producer Greg the Hammer Ballack. A very special thank you to Thomas Rage and Fred Anco for your continued support. My name's Tyler Green. You can read me in 24 hours, Vancouver, this coming Wednesday, or at tylergreen.org. Thank you for listening to the program. You can download the podcast or the webcast at CIL650.com. Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk returns next Saturday at 10 right here on CIL 650.
Talk about beautiful goalkeeping. During Winterfest, Kia Vancouver is stopping all payments on new 2015 Kia models till next year and stopping winter with a holiday bonus of up to $1,000 towards a 2015 winter-ready model with loads of heated features and rugged winter tires. Hurry in for all the Winterfest saves at Kia Vancouver, where you get free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
Don't let anyone make you feel guilty. If you're on the verge of losing your home, car, your financial life as you know it, because of marriage breakdown, illness, or plain old overspending, feeling guilty won't help. Getting a fresh start will. Abacan & Associates, proposal administrators and bankruptcy trustees, provide streamlined, personalized, professional solutions to people pushed to the brink of losing it all. Or so they think. You're not.
Visit moneytroubles.ca and join Abacan & Associates on CL 650's Boomer Life this Tuesday at 6. Other Boomer Life Tuesday sponsors include Jim Doyle, Investors Group Financial Services, Inc.
Hello, Miss Flower, I need you.
What Mr. Grosky needs is VancouverJobShop.ca.
Miss Flower.
Where he can find hundreds of local employees.
Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower.
Post jobs and start getting resumes in minutes.
I need you, Miss Flower.
With more local employees than ever. VancouverJobShop.ca. Long name, amazing results.
Where are you?